So finally, I think for salary structuring, these are all some of the points which we may have to keep in mind. Again, consideration for a valid contract, consideration is a necessity. So it must be there. Whether should I mention the monthly salary or the CTC as consideration, it is your choice. It is your choice. Both are right, right? But when you happen to mention the CTC, ensure that the monthly gross salary of the individual is clearly ascertainable, right? Because for the purposes of labor laws, for operational purposes, what is required is the monthly gross salary of the individual, the deductions of the individual, and the final net salary, right? So these are all the components which will be items, factors which will be required for complying with the various legislations under the labor and employment domain, right? And the monthly salary shall not be less than the minimum wages. That also, I think that is the only condition. When you fix the salary, you have to necessarily check that it should not go below the minimum rates of wages prescribed. And when you have the components of allowances, please again ensure that those are all compensatory in nature, contingent in nature, right? So it is a conditional payment. So see, this person is a salesperson, so he will not come to office daily. So he will be under the sun most of the days. That is the reason he is paid daily allowance or traveling allowance, something like TADA, popularly known as. So it is not a universal payment. This is not paid to all the persons, right? Since this person is under the sun, he is not allowed to come to office every day. He may come 1 or 2 days, but most of the days he will be traveling, right? So in order to compensate that, the company is paying TADA, traveling allowance, and DA. That is very clearly not wage, right? So on the right side, including annual payments, reimbursements, discretionary payments, and non-contractual payments in the contract of employment. Again, it is for the employers concerned to determine, take a call on that. And just to see, finally, as a filler, in fact, some amounts are paid, particularly special allowance, right? So once on the negotiation table after the interview got over, maybe. So when it is agreed upon to pay 10 lakh per annum for a person as CTC, then I think you will definitely fit that 10 lakh into whatever you have as a salary structure, and you will be able to fit some say 9 lakh 50,000, and there will be a balance of 50,000. So the employers may not know where to fit it. So they call it as special allowance. Then 50,000 divided by 12. So something like say 4,200 per month. It is paid as special allowance. So I think this is a mere nomenclature. So this will, if some dispute arises, this will be treated as basic only, right? So filler, please avoid. And sum of basic and DA alone shall not be less than minimum wages. See, for the purpose of Minimum Wages Act, it is very clear as per the decision given by the Supreme Court under the air freight case, the monthly gross salary of the individual shall be equivalent to or more than the minimum rates of wages. Monthly gross shall be equivalent to or more than the gross, right? But this may be right for the purpose of Minimum Wages Act, but it may not be sufficient for the purpose of either PF or bonus, right? Because it is very clear as per the Delhi High Court judgment in 2011, they said bonus is to be calculated at least on minimum rates of wages. So again, for the bonus, when you say salary, it is only basic and DA. So it indirectly pushes the employer to come to a conclusion that the basic and DA shall be equivalent to or more than minimum wages. So whatever allowances you have in your salary structure, that should be over and above basic and DA, right? So if at all, if we want to be compliant and satisfy the provisions of all the legislations, I think the sum of basic and DA alone shall be equivalent to or more than minimum rates of wages, and whatever allowances we want to pay, be it house rent allowance or conveyance allowance or any other allowance, right? That shall be over and above that amount, right? And of course, finally, it is just suggestive. PF wages works out to 50 to 60% of monthly salary at least, right? Otherwise, again, it will be questioned. There is no legal backing for this, but once the code on wages is through, I think it very clearly says the definition of the wages itself. It says the exemption part can maximum go up to 50%. So indirectly, only 50%, at least 50% will be treated as wages for the purposes of the code on wages, right? So till such time, even then, I think even otherwise, it is better in your salary structure. Please ensure that the 50 to 60% of the monthly gross salary of each individual employee maybe is considered as PF wages, right?